You know that moment in December when you are looking at your calendar and your inbox and your 23rd invitation to a little holiday get-together, and your brain is like, not no, but hell no. Welcome to ADHD Adultish, the podcast where we are already struggling with executive function, thank you, so please take your holiday madness elsewhere. I'm Kim Spangler. I'm an ADHD coach, mom of 3, and late diagnosed ADHDer. And someone who absolutely does not have the capacity to do 73 different Christmas activities this year. Today, we are talking about overwhelm and boundaries, and specifically how the holiday season can run us over, like grandma got run over by that reindeer. Poor grandma. It's so sad. But that's what happens if you don't protect your time and your energy and look both ways before crossing the road at Christmas. Yeah, this one's getting off to a weird start. So here's the thing with holidays. They're with the extended holiday season that we have going on here in the US in particular. But we take the ADHD challenges that we struggle with all year round and multiply it by 1,000,000 and add tinsel and glitter and wrapping paper and sugar, lots of sugar and travel stress and don't forget financial pressure on top of it. For adults with ADHD, December often means that exponential spike in executive function load, more decisions to make, like so many more decisions, more invitations to things that you say yes to, and then when you get to that time, you realize no, I'm just going to have no energy for this. More emotional labor, more pressure to be on and masking, more guilt and more expectations. And for a lot of us, just no additional dopamine to help you get through it all. So let's, just call it what it is. December is just like the perfect storm of every ADHD pain point. Time blindness, impulsive yesing, people pleasing, overwhelm, and, underestimating how long things take. Like getting ready for a holiday party or wrapping presents or any number of other millions, baking cookies, whatever. Yeah. So maybe you're going in thinking I totally got this. Maybe you're thinking oh my God, no, I don't got this at all, but I'm still going into it. And suddenly we're gift shopping at midnight, signing up to bring a casserole that we don't have any ingredients for, and we have to make it by tomorrow. And, RSVPing to things that we don't even want to attend, but we feel like we're supposed to for some reason. It's not necessarily that we can't handle December. It's that nobody really should have to handle December without having some boundaries. All right, so boundaries can feel very scary for a lot of us, especially for those of us who grew up, for ADHD adults in particular, a lot of us grew up masking, people-pleasing, and just generally avoiding conflict because we already have so much of it due to our ADHD symptoms. So let's just reframe what a boundary is for a second. A boundary is not being mean. It's not creating drama. It's not disappointing everyone. It's not saying no to everything. It's not being selfish, and it's not being too much. If anyone says that to you, they're wrong. You can tell them I said so. Not that it'll probably matter to them. But what a boundary is choosing how much of your time and energy you're giving, deciding what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And it's okay if things don't work for you. It's communicating with clarity, not apologies. It is protecting your mental bandwidth so you don't burn out. It is giving your future self a fighting chance to, make it to the other side of this without a complete and total meltdown. Or at least without too many of them. Boundaries are not walls necessarily, but they are guardrails. And for a lot of us, we need those guardrails in December desperately. Ask me how I know. So here are 3 big boundary traps we fall into. One is the automatic yes. Someone says, hey, you want to come to this thing, or can you bring that thing? And we just say yes without pausing to think about what else we have going on, what else we have to do in, around that thing that we're just saying yes to. And our future self is the one that ends up having to pay that bill for not just stopping and thinking for a minute before we agree to something. The second trap that we fall into is the over-explaining spiral. This one is a real struggle for me. Trying to put a boundary in place, but justifying it with an entire essay of explanation about why you have this boundary. If you say, "Oh no, I can't do this thing because blah, 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 blah," I'm just a whole bunch of other stuff. You're making a presentation instead of just saying no. It is just really like daring someone to challenge what your explanation with a, "Yeah, but what about, you could do this, you could just." So that's kind of a trap. Like when you over explain, you leave yourself a little more open to getting that pushback, and then it gets harder, right? Third trap is the "I should be able to do this." Yeah. If you've watched my video on shoulds, you know how I feel about the word should, but in this case, I'm talking about you're guilting yourself into doing more because one, maybe it seems easier than just saying no, or maybe it feels like everyone else is able to do all of these things, and so you should be able to as well. Um, and if you agree to all of it, then it means you'll be like a real adult like the rest of them. And that is, that is a recipe for suck, a whole lot of suck. So if you are feeling called out by these three little traps that I just talked about, don't worry, same. That's why I am here making this video. So what do we do instead of those things, instead of over-explaining, instead of apologizing and automatically agreeing? Well, first is keeping it very simple. I'm not available to do that, but thank you. Short, sweet. There's not an "I'm sorry" in there. And for some of us, not apologizing for not being able to do something is hard. Maybe it feels really clunky. Maybe instead of saying "I'm sorry," something like "I wish I could, but I'm already booked during that time." So it's just like a small tweak in language, but it is a shift from the apologizing to the letting them know that you appreciate whatever thing they're asking you to do, and that you could. They don't need to know that you can't do it because you don't have the energy or just don't want to. Maybe you wish you could want to do it and you don't. But either way, it leaves out the apology but still kind of softens the no. By the way, saying "I'm booked," then they don't need to know what you're booked with. You may be booked with laying on your couch recovering from the other 437 holiday things you had to do that week. Just sitting on your couch and trying to exist is, that's a valid way to spend your time. And if that's what you're booked doing, then that's what you're booked doing. You don't have to tell them that. Another example of while this comes up is gift expectations. I don't know about you, but gifts are a hard one for me. And there are a lot of ways that gifts can become overwhelming. So sometimes the boundary needs to be set with other people. Sometimes the boundary needs to be set with ourselves. Maybe this looks like telling yourself or maybe your friends and family, like, we're going to keep gifts simple this year. Maybe it's deciding that instead of doing 4 hours worth of wrapping paper in a mad dash the day before Christmas, you're going to put everything in gift bags. Maybe it's giving more gift cards or experience gifts that you don't have to wrap, or you just put in a card. And I think are really awesome gifts to give. I love when my kids get experience gifts or to give experience gifts because you don't have to figure out where to store them. It's not one more thing taking up space that your kid's going to leave in the middle of the floor and you're going to trip on in the middle of the night. If saying a boundary or just the idea of saying a boundary makes your chest tight, if you're feeling like, "Oh, no, I can't do this, I'll feel guilty, I'll feel selfish." If your brain starts trying to write a novel to justify your no, just take a deep breath and remind yourself that your needs count. First of all, your energy matters, and you are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. I know if it was just as simple as that, then we'd all be doing it anyway, probably, but practice does help. It gets a little bit easier every time you do it. But you are allowed to have limitations. You are allowed to protect your capacity, and you're allowed to do December in a way that does not just break you. Actually, you're allowed to do every time of year in a way that doesn't break you. I think that should be highly encouraged. So if you're listening or watching this right now and thinking like, oh, yeah, okay, yes, that sounds great, boundaries, cool, but I need a little help with that, then you should come hang out with me in the Level Up Lab. That is my online community, brand new online community for adults with ADHD. This month, the theme is boundaries, and we are going to help each other with setting and holding our boundaries and just offering support and commiseration throughout the month. So my goals for the lab are to offer a place where you can take advantage of weekly support and body doubling calls to help you do the stuff that you've been putting off, resources, guidance, no shame and judgment for questions and struggles that you're having and you need help with, and just a soft place to land when ADHD feels like it's too much, and with people who get what you're going through. I will put the link in the show notes. So, wrapping up, boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about helping yourself stay whole, or at least close to it, during the holiday season. Give yourself permission to do this season differently, more simply, and more calmly, and in a kinder fashion than maybe you have in the past. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you next time.